So we should be good to go.
Okay.
Got my nice hair bump going on.
Dude, it looks good. You're looking cute.
Oh, thank you. It's only when I kind of hate it because I need to look this way for my hair to look good. If I look like this, it's like, what are your hair doing right now?
So, yeah, when I had more hair, I guess, since I'm
When
balding.
I had more hair.
Yeah, I did like a similar thing to you, and I remember
it to
like
me?
this.
you
Yeah,
spike my
okay,
hair?
so no, it's just not your hair. It's my hair, but I did a similar thing to like you, not
I
to
see.
you, I guess. But turns out we've known each other for a lot longer than you think. I'm just like sneaking in your
You're
house
sneaking,
and like.
I'm like,
Your
why
wife's
is I?
always just like, dude, you always wake up with good hair. And it's
Like,
actually
what
like
is
me,
my-
and I'm like, thank you. I'm like sitting in your closet,
You're like,
or like I've lived in your attic, and you just didn't know like this is actually what it looks like. Yeah,
I
it's
should go
all
up there one
hologram.
day. Yeah.
We
That's
all live
nice.
in a simulation. We all know. But no, I
true.
used
Truman
to
Show.
I used to spike my hair in a similar way where I'd like grab it and I'd push it to the side and then
Yep.
just like kind of do the center stuff. And when I
Yeah.
worked at GameStop, a guy was like, "Dude, why you do that?" He was like, "Your hair's not like in the center. Like, why are you doing that?" I was like, "Cause I like it this way." And he's like,
Yeah.
"You gotta fix it. You
People
gotta,
are so
you gotta."
crazy, dude.
Yeah, they're like upset about it. I was like, "Bruh, it's my
Bruh.
fucking hair.
Like,
Why does
get
it
out."
matter?" And they're just like, "I can't look at it." And I'm just like,
You're
"Why?"
like, good, don't look at it then.
Yeah,
Fucking,
I don't care. Yeah, and then it turns out like a fucking year later, my hairline starts to recede, and I'm like, God damn it, I've got a big fucking head, dude. It's just huge.
because you're just
It's
so
fucking
smart.
gigantic.
You got that big brain.
Not even close, dude. Not even close. I was told last night by one of my Twitch, like somebody in my chat. His name is Darf. He's a regular. Told me that I'm not dumb. I'm just a casual, and I was like, okay, that's nice.
I mean, that's a pretty
nice of
good
you.
explanation.
I mean, I was like, I feel like that's basically like, I mean, you're not an idiot, but like,
But like, you're
you
close.
just suck. Yeah, and I'm like, that's fair. Okay,
It's like,
all
all
right,
right, yeah,
checks
I
out.
guess.
This checks out. Okay. Hello and welcome to IndiePod, an indie games podcast, your weekly source for all the indie games news you need to know. This week we are bringing you 2 awesome indie game news stories. Kind of, let's be real. It's not that cool.
One of them's kind of adjacent. It's like, it's not really, but
Yeah,
we'll get
yeah,
into it.
it's like indie adjacent, but you know
And I
what?
feel like you
Big
only
Josh
picked it
boy,
because
we
of
gotta
me.
talk about card
Yeah.
games. Yeah, hell yeah, dude. And then the other one is just kind of like, I just want to talk about Stadia.
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
if it's
yeah.
gonna exist in a year.
I think it's interesting. I will say that.
yeah.
We'll have a good
It is.
conversation.
It's very interesting. Of course, then we will move into News Cram, God bless the crowd, and answer your listener questions. But before we get into any of that, I would like to introduce myself, Vaughn Hyde, alongside the biggest of efforts, Just Boys. How you doing today, Big Just Boy?
I'm doing pretty well. I've spent some time with family. I got to be lazy and play some games with my wife, which I'll talk about in a bit.
Oh, man.
It's raining outside, so the dog is freaking the fuck out, but whatever. Everything else
You
is
live in
great.
Florida and your dog thinks the rain is sketchy? Are your
Dog-
dog not a fan of the rain?
Not a fan. Thunder. It's thunder. The dog does
Oh,
not like
okay.
thunder. And there is
I thought you just meant like the rain, like
No,
just
no,
the
no.
water like pouring down. It's just like trying to eat it or something.
Nah, she'll still be like, what is this? But like, once it's thunder, not a fan. And
Gotcha.
there's a severe thunderstorm, whatever that means, in Florida right now. So
Yeah, Zeus is just clapping them cheeks right above Florida. He's just like, "What's up, bruh? Let's
Bruh.
fucking do this." That's why it's severe, okay? He's getting deep and dirty. I get it, dude. It's whatever.
true.
It's whatever.
That's
That's
true.
I'm glad things are looking up for you. Seemingly you've had kind of a rough week, but
yeah,
I'm excited to talk about some indie games with you, Big Josh boy. But
yeah.
once again, before we get into any of that, gotta go into our housekeeping, of course. Check out our developer interview going live this Wednesday, of course. That is one day after for patrons, 2 days before for plebes. This one is the developers of Fuzz Force Spook Squad, which is just Fuzz Force, which this always throws me off when people do this. It's just like the Ever Tried team thing. Like, it totally threw me off. I was like, okay, I'm not understanding. Did you just put your name on Steam wrong? Or is that Is that your development name? Like, I don't know. It's weird,
all
but check
good.
that one out. It's going live this Wednesday. The game looks really interesting. Of course, it's got card-based mechanics, which was just like fucking Big Josh.
It's also got dice.
Talk about it. Yeah, it's got dice. It's got that
dice.
dicey dungeon shit, and the characters look like pieces. Like just pieces for like a game. They have like bases and everything. It looks really interesting. So please check that out. Once again, that one goes live. Let me check the date for you specifically. The 14th of April. So 14th of April hits. Of course, one day after for patrons, 2 days before for plebes. You could check this one out. All right, Fuzz Force Spook Squad looks interesting. Please head over to our store over on Teespring. You can get our t-shirts and stickers. I am currently, it looks like the artist that I was going to use doesn't have their commissions open right now, so I'm shopping around maybe for some other artists, or we might just wait longer. I don't exactly know. I'll have to talk to Josh about it, but we are going to get some new merch up in there, but currently I like our merch. I think it's cool. I wear the t-shirt, and I also am going to purchase a sticker. I always forget to. I'm like, I need to buy it. I just fucking totally space on it. So
Do we have
eventually
we don't have mugs, right? We should get mugs maybe.
currently I just have the
buy a
two
mug.
things. Like, I also want to do like, there's like the masks, the hats, the like phone
we could have
cases and
indie
mugs
pod
kind of a
masks?
deal. Yeah, I thought about doing that a while ago. I was like, that actually checks out. Really, we missed the whole like
We kinda-
capitalization on the
Yeah,
pandemic
I
thing.
think
where
that
it's just
that
like
ship has
mask
kinda
mandates are
sailed.
being lifted, but you know what? People, I don't know. There's a lot of people saying that they're going to keep wearing
I
masks.
feel like
after the
people still
pandemic.
will. Yeah, I am
Yeah.
probably not one of them. When this is over, I'm gonna wear more of those like paper thin ones because I'm just gonna be like, whatever.
Those are the ones I wear. I never bought like one of the M99
Yeah,
masks
I
or
did.
M11 masks. I don't know what they are. I was gonna say M1911, but I'm pretty sure that's a gun, so I don't even know. But yeah,
Little gun right on my mouth.
it's a cool gun though. In Battlefield 4, you can make it look like Han Solo's pistol or his laser gun. So that's pretty cool.
There you
Yeah,
go.
the DL44, I believe is what it's called.
Yeah,
So just
put it in
saying,
my
it's
mouth.
pretty dope. So back to the point, please check out the IndiePod store. Then head on over to our YouTube channel, subscribe there so you can watch these episodes unfold in full video. I don't know, goodness. I was going to say pleasure, but that doesn't make any sense.
Oh yeah, that's some video pleasure right there.
We're cam girls now. We're just
Dude,
like, well, I guess we're
can
cam
we
boys.
Can we? Have you been keeping up with this new trend on Twitch of girls just in hot tubs that are like in their house? It's the weirdest fucking. There's all these girls on Twitter now that are just chatting that are literally just in like a bikini in a hot tub, and they're just like
That's
talking
cool.
to chat. Like there was one who was just like riding this banana thing, and my friend and I always go there and we call it simp time, where we'll like hop into a random girl's channel and be like, oh, and we just go there to read the chat because people are garbage, man. They are so nasty. And it's just
Yeah.
like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's ironically funny because of how horrible they are, but I'm like, I would never actually say this shit. It's so weird, dude.
Dude, people talk mad shit about like what would be like Twitch thoughts, or like people who,
Yeah, for sure.
for some reason, like there are a lot of people, I'm fairly certain it's people who can't really succeed like on their own, so they blame other people for why they couldn't. They're like, I'm not attractive enough kind of a thing, or I'm not a girl kind of a deal. But there are a lot of people who like talk shit about it, and I'm like, they have to deal with a lot more than I imagine most people think of. Like,
Oh, for sure.
Like, you think they succeed because they're an attractive chick in a hot tub, but also they have to deal with all of this fucked up shit people are saying in
Yeah.
the chat. Like, send me feet pics. Like, I want a
Dude,
deep dick.
I
Kind of
cannot-
like weird shit. And you're just like, why do you exist, bro?
I
Fucking
cannot.
quit.
I don't know why. For the life of me, yesterday I or maybe it wasn't yesterday, but the other day we did it and we were looking through the chat and people were just going nuts trying to get the girl to fart in the hot tub. And I was like, what is going on with you where you need to do this? Like who is like, why are you like this?
Like, I want to see the bubbles ripple. Let's do
I want to
it.
see the bubbles.
Jesus
She
Christ.
the girl is like having a normal conversation. She's like talking about Bitcoin because she was like, oh yeah, Bitcoin's going up to like 60K today or something. She's like, that's crazy. And someone's like, fart for Bitcoin. And I'm like, Jesus, people.
Like, what's your fucking deal? You know what I've also noticed? And it's like, it's something that I imagine is really fucked up, but I actually like, I think the term is interesting is when people call it the sauce. So like if you've ever checked out iFunny, there's like this trend where every day at like 3 p.m. or something like that, there's just like a bunch of like really attractive women. And then in the chat, they basically are just like, the sauce is this. They often link out to shit, and it's kind of hilarious because sometimes they'll link you out to the absolutely wrong thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's never you get rickrolled. It's just something really fucked up most of the time that you're just like, I didn't want to see that. Shows that I've actually looked for it sometimes.
You're like, well, I could use some sauce if you know what I'm saying.
But I just find that term, the sauce, so funny. But granted, it's probably really fucked up. I don't know. Sure. I think it's all interesting. It's like, hey, use what you got. Like, if you are a very attractive person, you have a lot of shit you have to deal with outside of what I understand. So it's just like, fucking go for it. Do it.
I'd do it. I'd do it too if I was in that position. I mean, why not, right?
Yeah, dude, I'm saying mostly, I might become a booty streamer, dude.
Mostly, like, you should. Mostly, I just want to know where all these hot tubs are coming from. Where did this trend blow up? I want a hot tub in my house.
That is kind of an interesting, like, is it in their house?
Most of them,
like in an enclosed space, though, like outside or anything?
No, it's
like fucking chilling?
Just fucking chilling. Like I guess it's like a blow up. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't look that far deep into this. I just look at the stupid chat that goes through.
I would love to see like the person who can't afford a hot tub but is trying to do it, and they are just like farting in a kiddie pool or something like that.
Should we do that as like a special episode? I think that should be like our 200th episode. Yeah, when COVID is over, we'll both get in a little kiddie pool and we'll just fart
continuously for 2 hours. You're just like, my asshole has been open this whole time. Okay,
it's like I don't think I could survive.
Speaking of this, just like fucking crazy ass roller coaster of a podcast, please leave us reviews on any sort of platform in which you can do so. Specifically, iTunes will help us out the most. And if you make sure to write us a review, we will read it on the episode. So please be sure to do that. And lastly, thank you so much to our amazing patrons at the $3 tier or higher. Of course, we've gotten more patrons, but I mean, you actually have to like do it the $3 or higher to be mentioned on the show. I feel like I should just say that. But we got a new patron today, and their name is Jonathan Claudio. Not exactly sure. Here's the deal, though. Josh and I were just talking about this. We don't know who you are. And I sent you a message on Patreon to like, it's so much easier. Like Patreon, let's be honest, they're like networking features kind of a deal to like actually chat with people, eat shit. So we made a Discord to make it easy for everybody. And if you're a patron, you get special like Discord roles and chats and stuff like that. So Jonathan, if you are listening, join the Discord. I sent it to you. If you're already in the Discord, tell me who the fuck you are.
I know.
Because I have a feeling that you might already be in the Discord and I just don't know it. Like, you're just like fucking like hidden in leaves kind of a deal. You're like Deku stealth mode, and I'm just chilling here like have no idea. So thank you to all of our amazing patrons. We've got Jonathan Claudio, Will C, Mixomatosis, aka Mix, Zach Durham, Chase Hopkins, Philip Renshaw, the Wombat Emperor of Australia, Chris Panwell, always drinking tea, so much so that I have begun to do so. You know, it's good shit, dude. Green tea, a splash of honey, shit's good. I was actually kind of surprised considering it's just leaf water. It's a little weird. Josh Nichols, aka Active Josh. I was gonna say Jacktive Josh. I don't know why I would say that.
Jacked Josh. That's if he gets really into
if he gets fucking swole.
Bodybuilding.
We can call him Jacktive Josh.
I hope so. I'd love to call him Jack Josh.
That'd be sweet. That'd be sweet. And lastly, Sam Fillion from Canada. Thank you all so much for being patrons. You're all amazing. And Big Josh boy, let's talk about some indie games we've been playing. This week, you have been playing a game called Obsidian Prince by Unleash the Giraffe. Tell me about it.
Yeah, sure. So Obsidian Prince, first off, this is going to be a game who I've talked to the developers. It will be an interview that comes live, I think, in the next upcoming weeks or so. I don't remember exactly what the date is. Doesn't matter. But when I was talking to them, and first off, they're a lovely couple, and I definitely recommend that when it comes out, people listen to it because it was a really interesting conversation. But when
it goes live on the 21st of this month.
Perfect. So very soon. So when I talked to them, they mentioned like, oh, would you have any interest in actually playing it? Like, we can give you a copy. And I was like, sure.
Like, nah.
I know, that shit sucks. No, because this game is like 100% very, well, I wouldn't say 100%. I'm going to go with 95%. 95% a Josh Ash game, yeah. Because it's got cards, it's got RNG, it's got, dungeon crawling, it's got strategy to it. The only thing that it kind of isn't my jam is it's got a little bit of world building, which I probably wouldn't delve into too much. And it's also got turn-based tactics in the fact of like you're moving around a map, which I don't know why. Like if I have to also think about moving, like I'm always shit at it for some reason. Like I feel like I'm pretty good at games, but when it comes to that, like I played on stream the other day. I was playing this game, and I was playing, and I was just like, man, I suck at this. So I was like, I'm pretty garbage.
The one aspect that you literally do like all the time is just navigate worlds.
Can't navigate.
Like, I can't
dude.
do it. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm so dumb. I will say, okay, so let's break down the game as to what it is. So there's a number of different pieces. There is one where you have a story mode. It's a version of the game that it's not fully fleshed. They told me like play the endless mode because that's what's more done right now, because this game is going to be live early access in I think it's like a month or so, very soon. And so endless mode had more of the changes and the updates that they wanted me to kind of experience. So I'm more excited for the story mode, to be honest, but the endless mode is a good just interpretation of what it's going to be like. So this game is, you're up on the top world where you have a character and you're in this town or this village, and as you're playing, you recruit people, and each one of these recruits is like a character that you can go down into a dungeon with. So you can only play at any time as one character, but you get to recruit them, and they all have these little backstories and different experiences, and it's very like, the game plays into trying to be very silly in a lot of aspects, and it really does have a lot of just quirky moments where you're looking at it, you're reading the character's like background, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? Like, it's very silly. I really enjoyed it, that part. Like, one of my favorite moments is on the top of the world, there's interactable objects. Like, there's people that are just like walking, and you could poke at them and they'll just like ragdoll up in the air for no reason. And there's a score that goes, and it's like high score and like current, and it's how high you can shoot them up. So you have to like keep clicking on them to keep them going higher and higher until they like fly out of the sky. And I'm like, there's no point to this, but it's just there.
It's just fun.
Yeah. So like there's moments like that. There's a building that will shoot out cats from the chimney for no reason, but you could just keep clicking it and like entirely cover the town in just cats that are just walking around now. Once again, doesn't do anything for the game as far as like a gameplay element, but it's there if you want. So there's like all these little things that I'm like, this is really good. Like, I love the world. I love, exploring it in that aspects. And that's not even the game part, right? So then you get into more of the going into the dungeon, and you have a number of different classes. I only played as the main warrior class, because the way it works is you have to keep playing to unlock currency, to unlock the different classes. But there's like a fire wizard. There's like a poison druid or something like that. There's
it's
an
a
archer.
mold druid, which I think is really, really cool.
Yeah, so it's interesting because it's like they'll grow poisonous mushrooms on areas, and so like you have to kind of box in the enemies. Unfortunately, I only tried the warrior as of now. I played a couple hours of it. I played an hour on stream, and I really enjoyed myself because it's really interesting the way they did it. So you're always going to have the same base mechanics with that class. So as a warrior, you always have a number of different items or abilities. But what they do is they create these, what they call backstories and inspirations. So the cool part about this game is they try to push the idea of things that you do in the game will equate to how that character grows. And that equates to different abilities that you might see in the game. So every time you're going to have the same, at every turn, you'll have the same abilities, but you shuffle through a number of cards that are both for inspirations, which are like, if I'm getting this correct, and I probably am not, but there's inspiration and there's the backstory one. And so the backstory one is at the start of every like level, like area, so fight, every fight that you have, you get to pick 3 out of 5 background story cards, and those will affect that level. And it'll be something like gain 4 health by just picking this card, or it'll be something like you can use this one ability that you've always had, but it costs less to use for this fight. Or if you do something to a certain enemy, you'll have an easier time killing them, like stuff like that. And it's based on your background of like, they were telling me what they want to get to is not only playing each time you get a little bit more of your background, but you'll get specific things like, say you killed you went through this one dungeon, you killed 500 bats, so you become like the Batman. I don't know, I'm just making up shit right now. But like, because of that, now you have a background story card that is your maybe you have something with lifesteal, I don't know, something with bats. I'm making this up right now, but this is kind of how they described it to me in the interview. But then that is a potential card that you get at the start of every fight. Maybe it's something like, oh, you have lifesteal, whatever it is. And then that's you also, cool. Yeah, it's really cool. Like, I love the concept of this. And then they have the other cards that I believe are called inspiration cards. And these are at every turn, every time you move your character or attack with your character, you'll get 3 cards at random out of a deck that are kind of like helpful for that turn. So you'll get something like, hey, you flipped 3 cards and all 3 of them were add +1 to your basic attack. And like, it just makes you for that turn stronger by doing that. Or you might get something that says like, hey, you flipped a card that says when you use this ability, you actually gain energy back rather than using it. And so it kind of not forces you, but like encourages you to use different moves based on these cards that are being flipped, and also based on kind of where the enemies are at and how you want to navigate through that experience. So it keeps you on your toes, and there's a lot going on, which I really enjoy. The one thing I will say, and you probably guessed it if you've been listening to this entire thing, is it's confusing. It's a little tough.
Sounds pretty complicated.
There's a lot going on. Like, so the first time I played through this, and because it's early access, because it's very early, it is not entirely, explained as far as like every little thing that you could do. So a lot of the times I would be doing stuff and I'd be like, what the fuck am I looking at? Like, I don't know. But you keep playing through, you get past that point, and then things start to click, and it really becomes, more of a jive of like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I know what each ability does. I know what these little interactable items are as far as like what you could do. And I just really like that, although I kept dying and I was kind of garbage at it, I know I would get better. But what I did enjoy is there's multiple weapons and equipment that you can get on a character. You can level your character each time you're going deeper into the dungeon, as long as they don't die, obviously. You can get unlock different variants of that class type, which I think are interesting and I want to see more of. But there's a lot to this game. There's a good amount that's going into this, and plus the art style and the actual music in the game are really well done for such an early state, I think. Part of that I think is because of the art style. I think there's it's not as hard to be as it's not going to be anything that's like a 4K high definition, whoa, I'm so blown away. But it's the art style to it looks so good, crisp and clean. The shading of it is great. The world looks very pretty, even though it is this very blocky, almost Minecrafty type look to it. Yeah,
I think it's called voxel art.
Voxel, yes. Which, if you're interested in that, I recommend you listen to the interview, because it's a couple, and the guy who's doing most of the art was he definitely enjoyed just geeking out for a minute about it, which was nice.
I've always thought voxel art looked really, really cute. That was it's something that I've checked out in only a few games. I played shoot, I'm forgetting what it's called. There are a few games that I've checked out. It's kind of weird. They don't exactly look like, I would say, Minecraft, because Minecraft is much more I would say soft edges, versus voxel art is very hard, kind of triangles. It's very odd. I mean, hard edges. It looks really cool though. I think Obsidian Prince looks really, really cool, and I like the fact that you said there's these variants on classes, but seemingly just the fact that the Mold Druid exists, I think that's super cool. It's what would be a standard class of just let's be honest, they would just have natural heals and possibly a shape changing ability, now turns into somebody who just spawns poisonous mushrooms and shit.
Yeah.
Like that's really, really cool. I like turning things on their head. I like when classes do that in games. I think it's like easily one of the most fun things you could do is just take a standard class and really start to like mess with it.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about this is as far as the classes go, there's 5 classes. I just remembered. So there's the warrior, there's or actually I don't remember the 5th one. I'm pretty sure it's an archer. There's the fire mage, and then there's that poison druid. My favorite one though is the rogue. And the reason why it's my favorite is because the name is literally spelled wrong. It's like the Rouge instead of Rogue. And they make it as a joke because they're like, everyone spells it wrong. And they're like, yes, we did it intentionally like this.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the game looks really cool. I not only like the standard art style, but I enjoy the like queer, that's not what I meant. The weird kind of like, yeah, sorry.
I mean, weird and queer, that's the same.
No, I meant like the like weird and kind of obscure nature of the like entire world. Like even the like fire mage that they have has like a candle placed on its head.
Yeah,
like it's a
pyromancer
mage. And just a weird fucking shit. Like it's so cute. I like it a lot. I think altogether the game looks really cool. Granted, I don't think it'll be ever something that I'll get really into just because I'm not smart enough to play tactics games. Let's be real here.
Yeah, but. So I think, and I want to say that in this mode that I played, they specifically said like it was scaled to a certain degree of as you go down, it just gets like harder. Like they specifically made it harder. I'm pretty sure there are difficulties. I really can't remember because the interview was a bit ago, but I'm pretty sure in the story mode there's ways to dumb it down a little bit as far as like making it a little bit more accessible. I'd have to reach out and double check on that, but
okay.
I don't think that the difficulty should persuade you from not giving it a try.
So when you go into battles, you said you like you only ever get to play as like one character. Does that mean you don't have a team? Like if you play the warrior, you just go in with the warrior, or do you have
Correct.
Like, oh, okay. So it's not like a kind of like a party scenario.
No,
it's just
no,
a lone
no.
adventure.
Yeah, no, it's not anything like a, why can't I think of it? I keep thinking Final Fantasy, but that's not it at all. The 3 houses Fire Emblem. It's not like a Fire Emblem or anything like that. It's just, you have the one class, but you have, when you go back up to like the overworld, which you're building like your town, you have recruits, these different people that you can bring on, and each one of those would be a playable character basically.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, the game looks really interesting. I like it a lot. I really enjoy, I want to say the like weird nature of the maps themselves, how when they have walls, it kind of looks like, if you've ever actually watched somebody work in engine, so like if they go look at their game in Unity and it basically is just like they zoom out and it's a chasm of just white space and then what they actually created, but the way that they get around that is just attaching the camera to a fixed point, kind of a deal, like to constantly follow a certain area. Like most games seemingly are made that way. That's why you can fall through the map and you just go down into like blank space of nothing. This game seemingly takes that and just goes with it, where they're just like, you get to see everything, but there's nothing around it. It's just empty space. It's void. I think that's really cool. I think that looks really awesome. But the game itself looks really cool. Be sure to go check out Obsidian Prince, once again by Unleash the Giraffe. We do have a developer interview coming up on the 21st for that one, so be sure to check it out. But Josh, you are also playing Phogs by Loom Games, so please tell me about it.
I am playing Phogs. This is a super cute, kind of looks like cat dog game.
Dude, it totally looks like cat dog. Is this the one you're playing with your wife?
Yeah, this is what I'm playing with my wife, and I'm really enjoying it. And funny enough, she is too, which is pretty rare when I make her play a game.
You just make her like suffer through it.
I mean, sometimes I'm like, you play with me and you enjoy it. But we've been having some fun with it. It's a very casual game. It is, you are this creature that is a dog who has a one of the heads is a dog head at the front and then a dog head at the back. And you don't have any legs. You just kind of noodle your way around. You're almost like a snake with two dog
you're
heads
like a snake
at the
with
ends.
two heads at the ends. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. The entire world is just like an acid trip. It really is nuts. The characters are all just like jiggling around and they got these goofy smiles and they're like beach balls and gumball machines and you're this creepy ass snake dog character. But it's a lot of fun. It's just it's very, like I said, it's kind of platformer puzzle adjacent, but a casual game where you get to just like stroll around. You look for collectibles, which are dog bones, which you can then use to get cosmetics and make your dogs have little hats. Like I have a monkey face on my dog's hat or his head, and then my wife has a little bow. It's so cute.
Yeah, I see that like somebody has like a piece of bread.
Yeah, yeah, it's so good. It's so good. It's a fun time. We just played before the episode. We played a world where you're in a putt-putt level, like your mini golf. And so the first part is you playing, and like one dog will bite onto the golf ball, and the other dog will kind of pull, and then you let go, and the golf ball shoots, and you try to get like a hole in one and beat this other guy. Eventually, we found out you could cheat, and you could basically just roll the ball as the dog and just like take it with you, and it wouldn't count. And we were like, hole in one, bitches.
Jesus.
But then the second part, you get to become the golf ball and you have to like travel around a mini golf maze. Like this is what I'm talking about though. The game is weird. It's like wacky as hell, but it's a lot of fun. It is a very casual game. Like it's not anything that I've had to really be like, oh man, this is a tough part, you know? So like I think it does lend itself well to something for my wife and I, because it's not a game where I'm gonna get mad because she sucks. It's not a game where she has to feel bad about the fact that she sucks. Like it's just us being a weird dog creature in a weird acid trip ass world, and I love it. I definitely am enjoying the fact that one, I got this Xbox just because I could play all the Game Pass games, but also because I could play games like this and just be like, it's no skin off my nose to try this out. And turns out my wife did enjoy it. Otherwise, I never, like, if it wasn't for Game Pass, I never would have got this and tried it.
Oh, okay, that was one thing I was going to ask you if you were playing it on Game Pass. Because I remember Active Josh a while ago was just like, yeah, you and Vaughn should play this on stream. But it was just taken off Game Pass. Which is also
another reason why you and I would probably enjoy it. Because I can't get mad at you for sucking. I don't have to carry you through this.
We can have people in the chat that are just like, get better. And I'm just like, I don't think you understand how my life works, bro. Like, it just doesn't, that's not how it goes. The game looks really cute. Is there like an end state to the game? Like, is there something that you're working toward?
I don't know. There's like zero explanation to this game. You show up, like I said, you show up in this strange world where there's these giant, almost like dinosaur creatures who are just like, wah, and they just open their mouth, and you dive inside and you go to a different level. And then you do stuff. I don't know
what's hard to understand about that.
I guess I'm just dumb. And you do random stuff like play as a golf ball or, you know, have a mini putt course and go through and try to beat a golf ball who is ironically a golf ball who is golfing.
You're like, this seems fucked up.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's kind of like how Goofy has Pluto, and you're like, what's this all about?
What are you doing there?
Like, this seems a little weird.
Yeah. But then you get out of that level, and then there's another level that shows up in the overworld that you can travel around with. You're just kind of like floating in the sky in this strange world. Like, I don't know, is this heaven? Like, where am I? What is this? Like, I don't know where I am. I don't know what I'm doing. All I know is I'm trying to complete whatever objective is in each world to get a star. And then occasionally try to find some dog bones so I could buy some cosmetics.
Okay.
That's about it. Like, I have no idea. But it's one of those games where it's just like, yep. It's just a casual fun game.
Kind of like What the Golf. Like, while you were like explaining it to me, I was thinking about What the Golf or something like Donut County kind of a deal where it's just like, it's just a deal. Like, it's just fun to play kind of a thing. Like, not every game needs to have some weird amount of subtext. Like, this isn't about how that dog looks like, kind of like a double-edged penis. Like, it's not about that. Instead, it's about the weird stuff going on.
My wife did comment on that. She's like, we look like a penis. I was like, don't think about that. Just wear a dog.
Like, just don't think about it. It's fine. Like, you barely notice it. It's cool.
It's like, fine. The penis can't bark. It's fine.
Yeah, the game looks really cute. I wanted to check it out like initially way back when we were like streaming and stuff like that, but never got to because I think it's not. I don't think it's on Game Pass PC, right? It's only on the console.
No, it's only on console. Yeah, I think it was supposed to be on PC, but maybe something happened because I remember
Josh saying it was on PC, but then it was removed because some of the stuff wasn't working.
Yeah,
like so the game itself exists on PC, but or does it? I don't know.
No, because I can't get it from. Let me see.
Yeah, I was about to say I was like just on Steam, and I don't. Oh no, it is. It's available. It's $25.
Right. Yeah, but I can't get it through like Game Pass PC. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure it's only.
Shit's all weird.
I mean, it's a different. Yeah, they would have to do some amount of porting, even though it's PC. It's still a different client, so they would have to change a bit of it. So maybe just something didn't work. I don't know. If you have an Xbox, if you have Game Pass, check it out. If not, I still recommend it if you want to play with like a partner. I know a lot of people are talking about It Takes Two and how that's like the most amazing thing ever. So maybe you want to try that one out. But I figured It Takes Two might be a little bit more mechanically demanding. So I was like, let's just check out Phogs.
If you want to play with someone that's shit, like just play Phog.
I specifically asked on Twitter for a number of people to be like, do you think a person who doesn't play games could play this? And everyone was kind of like, yeah, but like not very convincing.
They aren't convinced. Yeah, they aren't confident of that. They're like, I mean,
yeah. Like someone was like, I think it was Brian Altano because it was his Twitter post originally mentioned back, and he was like, my wife only plays like 2D platformer games, but not like anything serious. And I was like, plays 2D platformer games though. That I want someone who doesn't play games like ever. Can they play it? Because then I'll definitely tell my wife to play it. But also, that's one of those things where it's not on Game Pass. I don't know if I'm willing to spend that $40 for my wife to be like, I don't like it.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It's a very fair point. So for me, the game I've been playing this week, so I mean, 90% of my week has been dedicated, at least when it comes to gaming, to playing Outriders, because that shit's, like, it's fun. It's not great. It's got a lot of problems. It's weirdly, like, edgy in a very hyper-masculine way, where it's like, it's made by People Can Fly, the people who made, like, Bulletstorm and Gears of War Judgment. So, like, It's not like you're smashing some dude's head and being like, fuck yeah. But like instead, you don't, when you go into like dialogue trees and stuff like that, and it's not even a dialogue tree, they just do what they want. The character's just so one note, like they're just kind of an asshole. So, and you don't have any choice to not be an asshole. So there will be moments where you're just like, I mean, this guy kind of seems nice, like he's begging for his life, and then they're just like, bah, and I was like, what?
I was like, oh,
you fucking offed that guy like fucking the new Captain America? Like, what this shit is happening? Yeah, you just fucking gat people. It's crazy. But the other small amount of time that I've been playing games this week has been dedicated to Nuclear Throne by Vlambeer. I love this fucking game, dude. I've loved Nuclear Throne for a really long time, but I haven't played it on PC ever since, like, I believe I ended up buying it because Game Trust released like a number of different indie games physically with steel cases. And if you don't know what Games Trust is, it was like GameStop's publishing branch. I believe they no longer actually have it, but Nuclear Throne was one of them, so I ended up purchasing it, and I had already liked it because I believe I had it on like Vita or just PS4. But the other day I was working and just needed something to like play that was mindless and that I could pause. Because honestly, like I fell off with Loop Hero when I got my ass beat by like the third act boss. I was like, I'm gonna give it a bit. I'm gonna give it a bit. It's pissing me off at this point. Too soon. Yeah, so I decided I needed to play something else. I hopped into Nuclear Throne, and it's so fucking good, dude. I love this game so much. And I've gotten a lot further than I thought I would. Like, I got to, like, like the sixth area, or maybe like at the end of the fifth. It's kind of weird. And I've unlocked like several characters. So like I now have, you start off with like the fish and the crystal character, and then I have then unlocked like melting, who is just looks like a human with all their flesh melted off, which is really gross.
Sounds awful.
I've unlocked the eyes, the plant, and the robot, and each one has their, like, if you've never played Nuclear Throne, it's a top-down roguelike shooter, where you are essentially just going through trying to kill all of the enemies within a specific area. If you gain enough rads, then you can then get a, like, what would be a power-up, but they only, like, you only get them for that run. It isn't a rogue light, it is a rogue like, so every time you have to do it over again. But the cool thing about it is it has a lot of replayability, not just because of like the weapons that you can get, but also because of the characters that you play as. Each one has different abilities. Like the fish can roll, which is really cool. They have like just standard abilities that's like, okay, this one has more health, kind of a deal. Like the crystal starts off with, I believe, 10 health, where everyone else starts out with like 8 health, with the exception of melting, who starts out with 4. Ooh. But they also have an additional ability where like the fish can roll, the crystal can actually form a shield, melting can explode corpses. So like as you kill enemies, their corpses stay there, and then you click your ability and they all blow up and they can kill people. Cool. The eyeball, like it's I think it's called the eye, I'm not exactly certain. It uses telekinesis, so it can pull like different rads and ammo packs and all sorts of stuff. Even enemies at times, if it's strong enough, pull them out of cover so you can shoot them. And then the other one I have currently is, well, I guess I also have the plant and the robot. The plant kind of looks vaguely like a Venus flytrap, and I think that's kind of cute, but it can root people. So you shoot a seed out and it like holds them in place. Have you ever played Nuclear Throne?
This is one of the things, is I've never played it, even though it seems like it would be something I should.
This is a Josh-ass game. Yeah. I'm honestly so surprised that you haven't played Nuclear Throne.
I know.
It's so much fun. And it's on it. Like, it's hard, but it's not, like, so ridiculously hard that you just want to die every time you play, kind of a deal. Right. Like, it's fun. I'm surprised you haven't played it.
You know what's funny is I wanted to be like, hey, you know that episode, the special episode of us playing a game from the others library, of me just being like, let me play Nuclear Throne, right? That seems fair.
Yeah, instead of you having to play Elder Scrolls Online, you play Nuclear Throne because you're like, Vaughn likes it.
Vaughn likes it, so
that counts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of my onus for it. I was just like, I mean, maybe I could just say I played some Nuclear Throne. Like, that was a game that Big Josh Boy would like. So there we go.
No, that's what I'm gonna steal.
The game is just so much fun. I really, really love it, and like, I'm really trying hard to unlock certain characters. Like, I want to play as I believe their name is either like Rogue or Bandit or something like that. Rogue is actually one of them. So each one, there are characters that you can get, I would say, easily, quote unquote easily. All you have to do is get to certain levels, and then after you die you gain them. So that would be like melting, the eyes, the robot, the plant, like all of those. And then there are other characters that you can actually only unlock by getting to secret areas. I have yet to actually figure out the secret areas. Like, I haven't unlocked any of those. Like, one looks like Bill Cipher from Gravity Falls, if you know what I'm talking about. It's just like a triangle with an eye. It looks really cool. There are others like it looks like the Illuminati ship, a little bit more cute. There's like a chicken and just a bunch of weird shit. Like, honestly, the game is so creative in an awesome way, and I really love it. And as I've been going through, I've actually seen enemies like in early levels that I've never seen before, and I'm just like, what the fuck is up with this? Like, there are scorpions that are just excessively powerful that I'm like, where the fuck did you come from? I've never seen you before. So I really love it. If you haven't played Nuclear Throne, you really should, because it's easily, like, it's probably one of my favorite roguelike games. I don't play them often, but when I do, like, Nuclear Throne is one that I'd go back to consistently. I think it's a lot of fun, and it has bullet hell elements, but it's not like super crazy. It's not like an Enter the Gungeon, and I think it's more accessible than a lot of other roguelikes, just because like isn't really designed to be hard. You know what I mean? Like, you constantly get new weapons, and you with both with your like rads, and so with like your rads and abilities, and with just the easily accessible like health packs and stuff like that, you could stay alive a decent amount of the time. So I think it's like really accessible. If you're a fan of roguelikes, you could just check it out if you haven't before. Plus, it's pretty cheap. It's $11.99 on Steam. It's not excessively high priced, and it's just super fucking fun. Like, I really love the game. So that's all I'm going to say about it. Possibly I'll talk about it more on our special episode for this month, but I'm not exactly sure. I really just... There's one character I want to unlock so badly, and I'll have to look up their name, but that is a... Let me look it up. It's Nuclear Throne characters. It is like essentially one of the enemy types that you can play as. Their name is Rebel, and they are like a bandit. So they kind of look like a mummy, which is a little bit weird, but their special ability is that it takes a little bit of their health, but they can actually summon like little minions that are copies of themselves that can deal damage as well. I just think it's so fucking cool. I love the design of this character, and like just the designs in general of each one of the characters is like really awesome. I love the fish. Melting always freaks me out. There's one person called Steroids who is just like, it's a human but muscled out to a freakish amount. So it's kind of like that guy who skipped leg day all his life. And he's just got like tiny legs, but the biggest fucking upper body. It looks like, what is it? Like Mega Swampert? Like, it's fucking absurd. But I really love it. I love that each one of the characters has their own abilities. Like the robot, didn't know how it worked. I thought that it was just, its special ability is that it can eat weapons and it gains certain traits. So I was like, okay, I'll just go up to weapons that I don't like and I'll eat them. But it turns out it eats the one you have currently equipped. So I just like lost my weapon. I was like, fuck, damn. But it's a lot of fun. I really love the game. Easily recommend it to basically everyone. It's not exceptionally difficult, and it has a lot of like it's really charming. So be sure to check it out. But it is time for us to hop into our news stories. Our first news story is over on GameSpot. It is written by Darren Bontes? I don't know how to say him. It's written by possibly actually maybe Darren. I don't know. I have no idea.
Probably Darren Bontheus. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's possible. Stadia announces 10 more games for its 2021 library is the title of the article, once again over on GameSpot. Google may have abandoned its effort to create exclusive games for its Stadia streaming service through internal development studios, but the company still has plenty of games headed to its platform from third-party developers. Next week, we see the first of 10 new games headed to Stadia, starting with The Dark Side Detective, a fumble in the dark by Akupara Games, I believe is how you say that, on April 15th. And then a month later, players can experience the joy of running through their own winemaking business in 100 days. So we've got, of course, The Dark Side Detective, A Fumble in the Dark, coming April 15th. Then we have 100 Days coming May 13th. We have several more games after that. So Foreclosed is coming in summer. Figment 2, Creed Valley is coming in the fall, and then we also have Grime, She Dreams Elsewhere, Merrick's Market, Death Carnival, Jay and Silent Bob, Chronic Blunt Punch, and Sky Climbers. Those ones are all we currently don't actually know when they'll be coming to the service, but it's just sometime later this year.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this, Josh? Like, has Stadia ever been something you gave a shit about? Like, do you think you'll ever get into it now that it's only third party?
No.
There's no first party support?
No, and I don't think that Google wanting to not be a developer of their own specific games towards their platform isn't like a breaking point. But I've never really...
It's not a death sentence?
It's not a death sentence per se. I think that Stadia, there's people that this could really be for, but I think their model is a little confusing. The fact that you have to be a part of it and also pay for the games, but there's also a premium version where you're still paying for the games. I think they've done a lot of cool things where they have you buy like the newer, I think it's like the newest, like the higher tech Chromecast, and you get a controller and a month or two of maybe it's a year. I don't know,
Stadia
something
premium.
Yeah,
or
something
like
crazy like that. Yeah. So like there's ways that they're kind of pushing people. I've just never cared because like I have a PC and now I have an Xbox. Like I don't need it. I think like there's probably a lot of people who want that because it for those who have, they don't have the console because they don't have the money to buy something like that, or they don't have the money to buy a fancy PC. Like Stadia is a cool idea because you're just running off internet if you have fast enough internet, right? Like this is definitely something for somebody, just not me. And I think that although it doesn't put a nail in the coffin as far as them only doing third parties now, I think a lineup like this, honestly, like, and not to say anything bad about these games, like a lot of these are games that one, like She Dreams Elsewhere is something I'm really interested in, but like a lot of these games aren't like heavy hitters, right? Like I don't look at this list and think that from a broad perspective, people are going to see this and be like, damn, Stadia looking good. Like I have no idea what I could get on Stadia other than this list, and I don't know when I'd be able to get it.
Yeah. It's kind of like a weird value proposition because it's like I'd have to pay for your service. Like I don't even think you get these for free or anything like that. So it's like I have to possibly pay for your service, and then I also have to have the tech that I have to purchase from you. But I could just buy this on my own. Like these aren't exclusive games or anything like that. They're just games coming to Stadia. So it's kind of like only for people who are early adopters but kind of got fucked because they were like, we're not gonna do that anymore. Honestly, the one that really stands out for me is Sky Climbers. I've thought this was cool ever since its Kickstarter campaign, but like other than that, I mean, I like Jay and Silent Bob, but I don't know if I want to play the fucking game. I'll just buy it. Like if I have to buy it there, why don't I just buy it on fucking Steam?
That's the thing. Is like I don't know. Like I think this works for certain people, but like I can't see this working for anyone who is more involved in like from a gaming perspective, like people like us who already have a console or already have a PC. I don't know that Stadia will ever hit a point where I'm like, yeah, I want this because of, XYZ. It would need something like exclusivity or something that's really cool, like Game Pass, where you have a subscription model where you're not paying for those games, you're paying for that service fee of just being able to have a library of games, right? Like this is different. You're paying for the game and then you get to just play it, which is cool because you don't need a box to do it. You just need a TV and
that
internet.
is a good point. Like I hadn't thought about the audience who doesn't I guess I would say like the casual audience who don't have like actual console or anything like that, that technically would be spending way less money by just getting into Stadia,
right? Because I've had a friend who got he bought one of the Chromecasts, the newer ones, got a controller and Stadia for the year or whatnot, and was able to play Cyberpunk, and he was like, oh, I really enjoy it. He's like, I don't need anything, I just play off blah blah blah. And he's more of like a he doesn't have like a console or anything, but he just enjoyed it. And I was like that's great. Like I'll never be interested in that experience, but if there's one person out there who's enjoying it, there's probably a bunch of people who are like him. I personally don't know how well they're marketing that, right? Like, I don't know that, like, we're talking about this, like, oh, maybe the casual person might be interested in this, but like, does that person know? Like,
about Stadia?
I can't imagine that someone who's not in the game space would have any idea that Stadia is a thing. Why would they?
Yeah, and their commercials are not that good. Like, let's be real. They don't really like go into that. They're just like, oh, you can play games wirelessly kind of a deal. And it's just like, okay, like without having a box. And it's also like, okay, but here's the thing that I've been super worried about from the beginning is that like, if I were to buy a game for Stadia, I doubt it gives you any license for any other platform. So it's just like, if Google ever decides like on a whim that they no longer want to support Stadia, even in like a third party support,
you lose
you
it.
just lose
you would lose
everything.
I can't imagine you not losing it. Like, obviously, I don't know for sure, but like, I can't imagine that you wouldn't. Because what they would do is they would shut servers down, right?
Oh my god, I fucking said it too. I was gonna try to say shut servers down too.
See, sherbet. They would shut the sherbet down, and then you wouldn't be able to eat it, and it would be over. Like, how would you play the game if you can't eat the sherbet?
Yeah, that would really blow. I hope it doesn't happen, but I mean, it's all just based on if they see return. And Google, as everyone has pointed out, because of Stadia, they frequently close down shit that do not show massive returns, kind of a deal, or they fuck with things beyond a point of no return.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I get it. Like, I don't disagree with the idea of being like, this didn't work, can it, and move on to something new. But yeah, there is a big concern that for those who know more about Google or know more about the way they practice business, you might buy this and it might be gone at a certain point.
Yeah, that would really blow. So let's talk about I would say a lighter topic in a sense, but it's going to be interesting. So this one's over on The Gamer. This is our last news story for today, and it is The Binding of Isaac 4 Souls Requiem Kickstarter announced, written by I'm gonna butcher this name, so I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm super sorry. Muhsin Mabub, maybe, I don't know. That's I feel bad about that.
Close, but it's tough. It's tough when you. I think what article places should do. Article places. I'm so stupid. I think what these websites should do is put the phonetic spelling of people's names. I think that would be super cool.
That would be really cool,
right? Like, why not? Because it would be easy to know how to actually say something. Like, it's the biggest concern about if you're just reading something. Like, you don't know if you're saying it stupidly.
Yeah, so for my sociology class, I had to basically kind of learn about different cultures and stuff like that. Is kind of what sociology is all about. But I had to learn about for last week's assignment, I had to learn about a hardship that another culture or ethnicity, another race or ethnicity has had to deal with, outside of the things that I understand. And I stumbled across an article that I ended up writing about, which was that people Asian Americans, they come to America and they have names that might be hard for Anglo-Saxonized people like us who speak standard, I guess, just run-of-the-mill English and don't really know how to put inflection on our words.
Right.
They have names that would be hard for us to pronounce, and they actually changed their names because of it to more Anglo-Saxon names. Yeah. And I was like, wow, that's so crazy. I never thought about it. And they're and there's a new kind of there is a new push to not do that, but to instead not adapt to what we need, but just to kind of stick with your culture and kind of regain that. And I think that's really cool. And I think the easiest way around all of this would just be phonetic spellings. Yeah.
It would be.
It would just be I'm you shouldn't have to change your name for anybody else. That's fucking stupid. If I can't say your name, it's my fucking problem. It should not reflect on you in any sort of way, but I would like a phonetic spelling just to make things easier. I read because I'm a fucking idiot.
I read a whole thing, not to go on this topic for too long, but I read a whole thing of how it's important to actually pronounce people's names correctly, because it's essentially their identity and people should take it more seriously and shit like that. And I'm like, oh yeah, both you and I are dog shit at doing this, and I do this all the time. But that's why in the interviews that I do, I'm always like, if this is way too hard for me, I want you to say it so we can get it correctly, because I want people to know what your name is, not my butchering of it.
Yeah, absolutely. But going past the names thing, this is, once again, The Binding of Isaac's 4 Souls Requiem Kickstarter announced. Fans of The Binding of Isaac may enjoy what's in store for the franchise, and it's expanding on the successful card game. A Kickstarter campaign is set to launch a new edition of The Binding of Isaac 4 Souls Requiem for the summer season. Studio 71 Games is once again teaming up with Maestro Media for an expansion to the popular card game. The Binding of Isaac 4 Souls players will. Okay, it doesn't really matter. Honestly, like, I'm gonna be real about this.
A lot of
90% of this I'm not gonna talk about. I really just wanted to bring this up because it's something that we talked about in our Discord, where one of our, I believe is one of our patrons, but someone in our Discord had purchased a Binding of Isaac board game, and you were like, oh, is it the like Four Souls, like is it the card game or is it the board game? And they're like, oh, I bought the board game, not the card game, but it looks cool, kind of a deal. I didn't know any of this fucking shit existed. Big Josh Boy, have you played this Binding of Isaac card game?
Yeah, I have it. I have it, and so I don't think there's not a difference between the board game and the card game, because it's essentially, it's a board game that's played with cards, right? So you have a number very similar to like Binding of Isaac. You're one of the characters that you would play in the game, but you get a card that is your character card. You have a certain ability based on that character card that you're given. You're playing with a number of people, and you're all trying to go, turn by turn and flipping cards and kind of helping each other / screwing each other over. Like, it's one of those games where you can kind of work with each other for a bit, but like the ultimate goal is to eventually be the one who wins by getting 4 souls, which is beating 4 different bosses. And so you're like flipping a card, and you might get a number of different things, and one of those card flips is going to be a boss that you have to try and fight. You have to fight in a different manner based on the cards and items that you have. It's pretty fun. I like it. I don't know that I care that there's a DLC coming, or whatever you would call it. I think DLC is a weird, I guess expansion is a better way to say it, but I'm just so trained to say DLC for things, even if it is
for Binding of Isaac specifically.
For Binding of Isaac, but like even anything like Gloomhaven is doing this. They have an expansion, and I always call it a DLC because it's the way my brain works.
Because these expansions were the original DLC. Like, every time I buy a new D&D book, I'm like, this is DLC. Like, this is downloadable content, essentially. It's just an expansion on what already exists.
Yeah. But that being said, like, I enjoyed it. I don't think I had the right group of people to play it, because none of the people that I played with played Isaac. So they didn't like, it's not that you need to play Isaac to have fun with this game. Like, I think it's still a good game, but it's just no one really gets that same feeling of like, oh, it's all those things that I've seen in the game. They're just like, oh, it's a poop monster. Like, what is this? Like they don't have the same kind of context or interest in any of these different characters or these bosses or enemies. And also, one thing, if anyone's playing this game, the one thing I will say, shuffle the deck really well, because I did not, and all of the bosses were like at the bottom of this giant deck, and we played forever. And I think that also kind of soured the people that I was with. And now that we're in a pandemic, I really haven't had a lot of time to see anyone or play games with them. So physical goodies aren't really something that I'm using often.
It's a good point. Yeah. I guess like purchasing this expansion would essentially be like an investment in the future.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I'm crossing my fingers that I can essentially that I can eventually sit 6 feet, like closer than 6 feet away from you, kind of a deal.
Yeah.
I guess you could always play it, but there's always like kind of that up in the air thing, and vaccines are slowly getting out to more people. Yeah. So yeah, it's
weird.
Possible.
It's weird because I've had a friend who like, so we've still seen friends every so often. Like, we'll go to breweries and we'll stay like in the outside area, and we'll still stay 6 feet apart. Like, we'll stay kind of far from them. And a buddy of mine who is a card game, not card game, but like board game junkie, like he fucking, everything about him is always like, oh, let's play a game, whatever. He always brings board games. He's got literally a backpack that's like this giant, looks like a duffel bag that's just got 2 straps on it that he has that just he fills with a bunch of board games. He's like, you ready to play something? And we're like, what are we gonna do, buddy? How are we gonna? He's like, well, we're here. Like, why can't we play? I'm like, I'm not gonna touch all of your board game pieces and then just be like, whoa, I guess this is fine. Like, I don't know. It just seems weird, right? Like,
yeah.
And I get it. Everyone's comfort level is different. Everyone's blah, blah, blah. We're trying to like be good about the whole like social distancing thing to an extent. So like, I'm not going to start just like rubbing my face all over your cards and then be like, I guess this is okay. Let me just roll around in your filth.
Yeah, you're like, I didn't fucking seclude myself to my house for over a year so I can get COVID now.
Right.
Kind of a deal. It's just like, I'm good. Yeah, I get it. It seems to be kind of like a weird time to launch an expansion, but also not, because like Repentance just came out and so many people are going to be excited, so maybe they might get into the card game.
No, and I think my case, obviously there's people out there that are like me, but I'm sure there's other people who, like, a lot of people have their own, social distance, like social groups, or there's a lot of people who don't give a shit about social distancing, and like, whatever, if that's your prerogative, like, it's fine. But like, if
I should say, this might sound like a very hypocritical thing, I do play D&D every couple of weeks, and my apartment's small, so we don't necessarily.
Yeah, so like here, and look, there's nothing stopping you, because we don't have a specific mandate saying you can't do that or whatever. Although that would be real hard to try to justify if it was in your own house. But like, the point is, we don't have that crazy lockdown. People have their own freedom to do whatever they want. I'm just saying, from my personal sense, I haven't really done any of that. So like, whatever, but there's still a lot of people who are still doing how they want, and I think it still works. I think there are people who really enjoy this game a lot more than I did personally. I'm more for just playing the regular game, but I mean, it was still fun. Like, I think it's interesting they're putting this as far as like an expansion, because I wonder how much is really going to go into this and how much will change, but we'll have to see when it comes out for the Kickstarter.
Yeah, I know what you mean though, when you're just like talking about how playing like the board game with people who don't know Isaac, I think it's very possible that they'd be able to enjoy the game itself, but they wouldn't be able to like really geek out about it, I guess, because like Hyperlight Drifter had a Kickstarter campaign a really long time ago for their role-playing game, and I've been wanting to like, of course, it hasn't actually been produced yet, but when it comes out, I want to buy it really badly. Yeah. But it's like, even if I could convince my friends to play that with me, I doubt they would give a fuck about it.
Right. Like it might still be
like
fun.
Me, where I'm just like, ooh.
Yeah. But you just, because it's different. You've spent so much time in that world that you're like, oh, it's all the characters that I know and love. And it's like, it's just a different experience. Even if I mean, obviously, this is a way of saying I'm biased, right? Is because even if it was a crappy card game, I'd still enjoy it, because I'm like, oh, it's it's an extension of a world that I enjoy, and it gives me just more chance to be in that world, right?
Yeah.
And
I definitely know how you feel.
Yeah. For other people, it just has to be a good card game, which I still think it is. Don't get me wrong, but I'm definitely biased.
Just got to shuffle well.
I think that's the one takeaway, is like, invest in shuffling time.
All right, so we have covered these news stories thoroughly, so it's time for us to hop into News Cram. News Cram is our weekly wrap-up segment where we, the hosts of IndiePod and Indie Games Podcast, cram you full of all sorts of indie games news. This week, we do not have any quick news stories for you, but we do have a new deal and quick steal, and then we got a whole lot of new stuff, a lot of fun stuff in there. So our first and only deal of this week comes by way of GameSpot, where it is reported that from April 15th to the 22nd, you can get Deponia, The Complete Journey, Ken Foltz, The Pillars of... it's such a weird name. Ken Foltz's The Pillars of the Earth, and The First Tree completely free on the Epic Game Store. So technically, for patrons, I think that's going to be a bit early. So that is the upcoming, like, as we're recording it, the upcoming Thursday to like the 22nd, which is the Thursday after that. So technically, people's going to wait a little bit, but you're getting some free shit anyway. So why not? Now on to some new stuff. Our first 7 items in new stuff come by way of Nintendo Life, where it is reported that Metroidvania Monster Tamer Monster Sanctuary by Moirai Games just received a new update on the PC that adds the ability to play through the game in New Game Plus, PvP matchmaking, new difficulty modes, and more. But sadly for console players, you will have to wait until April 20th to technically get this update. So just keep an eye out. April 20th comes around, you can play some PvP such. That action-adventure game Rain on My Parade by Unbound Creations Barbarians is headed to PC via Steam and Nintendo Switch on April 15th. That point-and-click adventure game, The Dark Side Detective, A Fumbling in the Dark, by Spooky Doorway is heading to the Nintendo Switch and PC via Steam on April 15th. That co-op multiplayer game, Unrailed by Indoor Astronaut, is getting a physical release through Super Rare Games, with pre-orders going live on April 15th, and a price tag of $37.01. That's
that 1 penny.
Yeah, that's American dollars. I'm pretty sure in euros it's different, but that's $37.01.
I think that's too much. Maybe if that penny was off, I'd be like,
yeah, easily a penny too much.
Too much. Easily.
Of course, they have copies limited to only 4,000. So if you're interested in it, make sure you head over and you pre-order your copy. That action RPG Ravensword Ravensword Shadowlands is actually what it is. By Crescent Moon Games is now available on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and the Nintendo Switch. That strategy game Wanna Survive by Pinix is headed to the Nintendo Switch and on May 21st, and that strategy game The Colonists by Code by Fire is headed to the Nintendo Switch on May 4th. Now over on Polygon, where it supported that fuck me. I have such a hard time.
Pseudo fuck me
stuff. Yeah. Pseudo fuck me. It's reported that pseudo pinball game Beast Breaker by Vodio Games is headed to the Nintendo Switch and PC via the Epic Game Store sometime this summer. Now over on Twinfinite, where it's reported that Metroidvania Blasphemous by the Game Kitchen is getting the physical treatment. This will come in the form of a new deluxe edition that includes a digital comic, art book, soundtrack, and poster, and of course there's like a bunch more to it as well. Right. This will be headed to the PlayStation Store, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch on June 29th. Now over on IGN, you know what's funny is I read this to myself to make sure that it makes sense, and I can just fucking shoot through it. Yeah. I'm not even joking. Like, when nobody's looking, I can read this. But the second that I'm on
that recording,
like I'm recording, it's just every other fucking word. I'm like,
yeah.
Can I just die already? Yeah. Can I just implode like a fucking dying star? Like, I'm sick of it.
The pressure.
Can I collapse on myself?
The pressure is just too much.
It gets to me, dude. It gets to me.
It's okay. It's who you are.
Even though my reputation is just being a dumbass.
Yeah, you gotta just lean into it. All right.
Now over on IGN, where it's reported that adventure game The Last Campfire by Hello Games has just received a new update that adds more puzzles, the ability to replay puzzles, and a myriad of text fixes and improvements to the game. That's just available now. And the 2D action platformer Alex the Kid in Miracle World DX by Merge Games and Jankin Team, I don't even know if that was correct. Very weird. It's a weird name. Is headed to the PlayStations 4 and 5, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC, both Steam and the Epic Game Store on June 24th. Now over to The Gamer, where it's reported that 2D Runner, and I did that because it's just like, I don't want to false advertise this game in any way. So 2D Runner, Super Meat Boy Forever by Team Meat is headed to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One on April 16th. Notice I did not say Endless Runner, because that was a discussion we had in the Discord. It's not an endless runner. It's just kind of a runner. Like, technically, there is an end to it. So there you go. That urban survival RPG High Risers by Solar Powered Games is headed to the PC via Steam on May 6th. And lastly, that open world survival craft game Breath Edge, or Breathe Edge, I don't know how to read, by Red Ruin Softworks is now available on the Nintendo Switch. And to round out the group over on GameSpot, it is reported that choice-driven sci-fi narrative game The Fermi Paradox by Anomaly Games is headed to PC via Steam sometime this year. The 2D action platformer Hunt Down by Easy Trigger Games is headed to PC via Steam on May 12th. That action roguelike game Curse of the Dead Gods by Past Tech Games is crossing over with popular Roguevania game Dead Cells with a new update that's set to release on April 14th and adds a new curse, new weapons, and a new challenge room to the game. And lastly, that developer Flight School Studios have released a video detailing the new action-adventure game Stonefly's world and lore ahead of its summer 2020 release, 2021 release. I watched the video. I thought it was really cool. It's over on, I think it's like MWM Studios YouTube channel. That is their like publisher. So I'd highly recommend checking it out. I think the game looks really cute, and the way they explained it is like Rogue One, but small. And I'm like, okay, that seems really cool. And you could change up like your little beetle bot kind of a thing. It looks very cool.
You and Bugs,
I
man.
like the design of it. It looks very cool. So we've been blessed with so many amazing indie game news stories that it's time for us to give back to the creators. In our next segment, God Bless the Crowd, this is where the biggest of average Josh boys hops into all sorts of crowdfunding sites and finds something awesome for us to talk about. This week, we are headed over to Kickstarter and checking out Whisker Squadron, forward-scrolling aerial combat with feline heroes in a procedurally generated world from the creators of Race the Sun. We've actually talked about this game before. I think Polygon wrote a piece on it like several months ago.
Yep.
Before it even had a Kickstarter. It was just like, oh, that they announced eventually they'd have a Kickstarter, which I still think is funny because it's just like you announce these so far in advance.
I know.
It's crazy. But
yeah. Which is interesting because like
looks...
who are they talking to that gives that information where they're like, I should write about that now?
Yeah, it is very weird. So once again, this is Whisker Squadron. The team is looking, or their initial goal was $30,000. They currently, at the time of this recording, have $34,567 with 736 backers and 24 days left to go. That is of the time of this recording. Of course, when you hear it's going to be more and less, both. This is by Flipfly, I believe, and currently, naturally, they've already reached their goal, so now they're just going into their stretch goals, which is pretty cool. To get in on the ground floor and actually get the games, it is $20 or more, but you get a copy of Whisker Squadrons for PC and your name in the credits. So there's that. Big Josh boy, how do you feel about Whisker Squadron? I saw you on Twitter the other day talking about it.
Yeah. So first off, I will say that we do have a developer interview coming out on this. The reason why I wanted to talk about this today is because it probably won't come out in the same time frame that this Kickstarter is live, which
it's the 12th of next month.
Yeah, which is kind of a bummer, but I did want to shout it out specifically to get some attention on. Obviously, they already hit their goal, their first goal, but I'd like to see them hit some of the stretch goals because I just think it's a cool looking game. So this is very much a Slay the Spire meets Star Fox game. And what I mean by that is you are playing a game that very much looks like Star Fox, but it is procedurally generated. It has in between levels kind of the same mechanic that Slay the Spire had, where you have a map that you get to choose, kind of like your next destination, or go through different shops or different things that would be commonly associated with roguelikes. It just looks really cool, and the thing that I want to talk about the most is procedural generation is something that isn't anything new, right? Having that in Worlds, I think, is really cool. I love games that do this because it keeps them fresh and interesting, especially in roguelikes where you might be playing it over and over and over again. The thing that I think is the coolest is, and I haven't seen this in other games, is they did this for bosses. And what that means is you have a boss that's, when I talked to the developer, he explained, you have a boss that kind of similar in structure every time for the most part. But what they do is the boss has different traits or abilities or types of attacks. Like one might have a flamethrower, one might throw walls out at you, one might throw XYZ, whatever it is. Think of all these different abilities or boss patterns that you would normally find on bosses. But now take that where they create a pool of it. Say he creates 200 different boss attacks. And it would be extensions of that boss, like they would have a certain arm, or they would have a certain cannon, or they would have certain things. And they're just slapping them on this thing. So it's procedural generation in the fact that it's randomly assigning those attributes, and you're getting a boss that might be different because those combinations of just things that you have to deal with in the fight are constantly changing, which makes it very interesting to me because you're essentially learning different abilities, but then the combination of those is what's going to make it more challenging, right? So I talked about the fact that in our interview, I was like, that's so cool because you're more thinking about creating the baseline mechanics of certain things that it could throw at you. And the developer even agreed that there are times where there are things that they created that would then translate into something totally not expected because of the combination of multiple attributes, right? So I think
like you could essentially like accidentally make an unbeatable boss.
right.
Like this would be so fucking hard to test.
Yeah,
To make sure
of course.
or to balance. That would be so fucking hard because there's almost no way that you could do it. You would have to see every possible combination.
Right. So this is basically a little like insight into my interview with them because I was so fascinated with that idea. But I have a lot of nostalgia for Star Fox 64. It was a game that I truly loved as a child and played a ton of. So I'm very excited to just see this in action, even without that concept of it. I just like the fact that, they just decided to never make Star Fox games again. So like, why not just have an indie actually do it? But I like that they also have multiple characters who are also going to have their own like abilities and things. I like the fact that it is a roguelike, so you're going through and you possibly might be able to upgrade your ship in certain ways. The fact that they have these bosses that are seemingly very randomized, but not at the same time. I'm into it. I think it sounds cool.
Yeah, initially while like just off the cuff, a while back when we talked about it, I wasn't like excessively impressed because I'm not really a big like Star Fox fan or anything like that.
Right.
But when you talk about the procedural generation, it kind of like really opened my eyes to a bit of this where it's like I wasn't super impressed. Like I wasn't super impressed with the art style. It's honestly like it's kind of ugly, and I don't mean that in a mean way. It's just like it doesn't look very well polished. But when you think about it, like having your game look like this would be so much easier to deal with and added like the procedural generation because you don't have to worry about making things look beautiful. Instead, like you don't have to worry about the crazy details when it comes to aesthetics. You can instead focus on what makes the game a game, which is gameplay. And I think that's very, very interesting. Granted, once again, I'm not a real big fan of Star Fox, so I wouldn't exactly know how this will ever like hold up or like match up. But I think the idea of like true randomization, even in boss encounters, is very, very cool. Where it's not just like how typically roguelikes, when they have some form of randomization, it's not procedural generation. So technically it's like, okay, you get in a boss pool of like 2 bosses, you get 1 boss every level. Like whatever. They might switch it up a bit, but it's not too crazy. Like Enter the Gungeon, you either get the fucking Gatling bird or you get the like King Bullet, whatever. Like it's not too crazy, but this is like, yeah, you might get that same boss, but they also have fucking nukes and you just had no fucking idea. Or this one boss encounter that they have that looks super cool, that's just the twirling thing that makes like constructs and you actually have to fly in between it. That looks fucking dope. That looks crazy.
There's a lot of very unique things that are in this game, and I also like it because I talked about this as well, is it seems interesting because you could make this in a way constantly growing content, because if what you're doing from a structural, like setting the ground work up and setting a foundation of the generation for these bosses or these levels, of you just adding to the pool of different things that it could throw at you, and then you get these crazy combinations that might totally change the game in a certain way. Like I think like the thing that you mentioned about that, it creating a structure as it's flying from a boss perspective, but then also you add other elements that might make just very chaotic fun gameplay loops. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be good. I'm glad that they hit their initial goal. I hope they get more, because I want to see how far they can go into this. I think their first stretch goal of 40K is local 2-player co-op campaign, which I think is great. I think it sucks that it's local, but I think the idea of being able to play 2-player in a Star Fox-esque game seems really fun, because it seems like something I would have wanted when I was a kid. I don't know. I think if any of this sounded at all interesting, people should check it out because it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, there's also one last thing I want to talk about, and this comes from my, like, you know, just like trash ass skills when it comes to video games, is the fact that they have customizable gameplay settings, which I think is really cool.
Yep.
So they don't have like your standard difficulty settings of making things easier. Seemingly they have like, it's adjustable. You can make things easier or harder in different sections.
Right.
They don't exactly go like super deep into it, but I do think that that is very, very cool. So that's the last thing I want to talk about. Any last tidbits that you want to say before we move on to the listener questions?
Nope. Pick up the game.
Nada. All right. Once again, this is Whisker Squadron over on Kickstarter, and they still got 24 days left to go. They're looking to ship at about May of 2022. That I mean, that's not excessively far away. So that's pretty cool. And you can get in on the ground floor at $20. So it is time for us to hop into our listener questions. Phil writes in, of course, this is Philip Renshaw, the Wombat Emperor of Australia, writes in and says,
this is a weird one. We're starting off real strange with this one.
Yep. If your significant other was wanting sexy times, however, they wanted you to wear a Saddam Hussein mask during the session, would you be down for it? That is the question.
Now, I'm not going to say I want to kink shame anyone. But that is an absolute no. That is a roll the newspaper up and smack them on the nose and say bad boy or bad girl. What are you doing?
I do have to ask, like, is it the subject matter of the mask or just wearing a mask that you're not into?
No, I'm fine with wearing a mask.
Technically, just
I'm fine
like
with wearing a
if
mask.
it was like a gimp mask that had like the zipper
that's
on the
fine.
mouth, like you'd be into it.
That's fine.
You're just like, nah, just a Saddam Hussein mask is a little weird.
It's also a little weird because it borderlines the idea of them cheating on me. Because it's like a different person, but also it's the Saddam Hussein part that you're like, why though? Why would it be this?
Like, it is a little weird. Don't exactly know why that's going on, you know? Yeah, I mean, I would have to say no just from the sheer fact of, like, that would get so hot. Like, wearing that mask. 'Cause I would assume that it would be like one of those like elastic or like latex masks, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That you can get that's just like you look like Richard Nixon, but it's got weird eye holes cut out. Yes. Like, I would imagine that this mask would be very similar to that, and it would just be like, dude, those get hot just in general. Like, when you were a kid and you're running around like in Halloween, you're like, my head's gonna explode from the sheer heat of this fucking mask. Imagine like having the sexy times, dude. You'd take that off and your whole face would be a swamp. I would honestly be surprised if like you didn't have mold growing on you. Like, that's how fucking crazy that shit would be. Plus, those masks have just a naturally weird smell. So like, you would have to really love someone to be willing to do that. Like, that's fucking insane. I could never deal with that.
I think it's so funny how the part that's really tripping you up is the mask part.
Yeah, that I'd have to wear a mask.
You're like, I don't like it. It's icky.
I mean, enjoy what you enjoy, dude. It's just like, I don't want to have to wear a mask, bro. Like, that's crazy. Like, I'm all for cosplay sex. Like, do what you want. Like, it's awesome. And like, let's be real, I'd be into it. And I think, like, honestly, my friends have joked about this for a while, specifically my friend Avery, because he's like a closeted furry, like it's something that you should be ashamed of. But like, I've talked about it and I'm like, I honestly think that the entire furry culture is actually like one of the most wholesome things you can do from an aesthetics point of view, because it's like, we've been taught since when we were kids to not judge books by their cover, which is dumb because it's like exactly what we all do. Yeah. But it's like, you're told not to judge books by their cover. And the furry thing, I mean, granted, there are probably a lot of people who are just like, you don't have the right kind of synthetic fur. You don't have real wool fur, which is like, I don't know why that sounds fucked up. Like, that sounds some animal cruelty shit right there. But like, I'm totally into that because it's like, you're not supposed to see that other person kind of a deal. And it's like purely based on their personality. I think that's awesome. But no, I would not wear a mask. If it was an elastic mask, I wouldn't be down for that.
All right.
So there you go, Phil. You also asked us to rank, and this is also kind of a weird question.
I like it.
Because he doesn't give us any sort.
I mean,
I imagine that was the idea of it. But
the ranking is what do they mean to you, right? So
yeah, the question is rank the following items in a way that you see fit: toothpaste, a dollar bill, a paper clip, a pair of tweezers, and a paper bag. Now, I'm wondering so bad. I want to know so badly how the fuck you got these items. That you were just like, did you just walk around your house and you were just like, you just found the things that just happened to be laying out?
Better.
Or like walked up to like the junk drawer. Like, let's be honest, we all got one. And it's like, if your house is so clean, there's that one place in your house that you just throw all the dumb shit that doesn't make any sense. It's like, that's where it is. And Phil just like opens up that drawer and is just like, okay, here's a paper clip. For some reason, this is where I keep my toothpaste. Got a dollar bill. That's pretty cool. And just like wrote it into us. Like, what the fuck is this?
Look, so here's my list.
Okay.
Ranking. I'm gonna start with the first to best to worst.
Okay.
Toothpaste. It's best. Why?
Okay.
I'm a freak when it comes to teeth. I need to always brush, floss, and use mouthwash twice a day. It's just
Same.
Yeah, just how I am. I hate when my teeth aren't clean. It feels nasty.
Do you use like the weird kind of floss that like when you were a kid you'd get, which is like a package of floss that you pull out the strip? Or do you have, like, flossers?
I use the floss picks.
Yeah, dude, me too. Those are sweet. I love plackers. They're awesome.
Yeah. So toothpaste, highest on the list. Second, a pair of tweezers. Why? Because they're more expensive than $1. And because I use them. I mean, I use them because I have a fucking unibrow that grows that I have to pluck out, and it's annoying as hell.
You tweeze it?
I tweeze it. I grab each one of those hairs and grab the follicles.
Damn, that would fucking suck. See, I just take a razor and just go like beep. But granted, I don't like. There's like a tiny bit of hair that grows there, kind of a deal, but it's not like a unibrow scenario.
No, you know? See, I mean, mine's not a unibrow, but if I let it just like, if I was just like for 3 years, I was like, I'm not gonna do anything. Like, there would be hair there.
It'd
right?
get pretty close.
But like, I'm never gonna shave it because it grows back bushier, and it's better to just pull out the hair. So I just use a tweezer every like couple of months. I go and look at my face, and I'm like, is there hair there? All right, let's start picking at things. So, tweezers. Third, a dollar bill, because it's worth $1. And because the other two items on this list are not. A paper bag, because in regards to a paperclip is just utter trash. What is the use? I could keep things together. I could do it in a paper bag too.
I mean, like, join it with other things, like those kids who would, like, fucking take a rubber band and take a paper clip and they just have a makeshift bow that they'd use and just fucking straight up obliterate your fucking life goals.
I'm gonna tell you,
just, like, the only thing you could think about from that moment on is murdering them in their sleep.
I'm gonna stop you right now. I'm an adult. I don't use a paper clip.
Yeah, I don't know really anyone outside of, like, an office job that's ever that I've ever seen a paper clip.
And I work semi-office job, but like we don't need paper anymore in a lot of ways. Like everything is online. I have no idea where I would find a paper clip in my house. I can almost assure you there's probably only one that's hidden away in some filing cabinet, or two, there's just nothing in here.
You know what's so weird is like I'm not that fascinated by paper clips, but like the little like receptacle that you put paper clips in, I find this so much more interesting because like how they have the magnetic edge to easily grasp a paper clip. I think that's so fucking cool.
I mean, you just like magnets.
I love that shit. Yeah, that's very possible.
You wouldn't like magnets are crazy. I think it's super cool how magnets work.
That's just like magic, bro.
Yeah,
it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but paper clips, no. The mere fact that you had to say like I'm not someone who's fascinated by paper clips like was such a moot point. It was like who in their right mind is just like a paper clip? Now that's my fucking jam. Like nobody.
There's probably somebody out there who collects
if you are a paperclip aficionado, you can at me on Twitter because I am dying to meet you.
All right. I think you got all the items right.
Yes.
You got paperclip, you got tweezers, paper bag. Okay, So yeah, I'd have to say tweezers as well, or not tweezers as well. The toothpaste easily number one. I would say I'm gonna say this as an order of importance in my life. Toothpaste would be one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, tweezers kind of freak me out just as an item. Like they're tongs but really small and they just fuck up your existence. Like I'm not a big fan of that.
Right.
I would say dollar has to go like a quick number two, just 'cause it's like whatever, it's a fucking dollar. You know what I mean? Plus, I mean, I don't like money that much. I don't like the idea of monetary value. I think it's kind of fucked up. Like, it's very weird. Like, it's a piece of paper that rules our lives. It's very odd. Plus,
agree.
it's super dirty. Like, if you ever... Physical money is so gross.
Yeah.
Like, when I was a cashier and just, like, doing out the bills, it makes your hands feel so disgusting.
Yeah,
So, like, paper
that's
bill is
gross.
almost bottom tier. It's, like, that shit fucking sucks. Let's be real here. No. But I'm going to put it number two just as in importance to my life. The next one, I'm just going to say a paper bag. Like right underneath that would be... Because you could do so many cool things with a paper bag. You could make a puppet. You can carry your things. You could hyperventilate. I've seen that. People do the like...
My favorite part about this explanation is I'm going to rank these in importance of my life. And your first example is you can make a puppet. I'm like, what?
Yeah, like what the fuck you do that? Like the Fandango puppets that are like paper bags.
We can see where importance ranks in your life.
I mean, honestly, after toothpaste, it was all downhill.
It was
like it's just like none of this shit fucking matters to me. So yeah, paper bag. Then I'm gonna be on. Okay, here we go. Paperclip, easily the next one. Tweezers mean so fucking little to me. Here's the thing: it's because what you could do with the paperclip is you've had the chip bugles, right? Mm-hmm. Where you like put them on your fingers and you act like you got witch nails. Yeah. You could do a very similar thing with a paperclip, where I like to put paperclips on my fingers and just be like I got a robot finger, you know?
I very much enjoy what you deem important to your life.
And then like there's tweezers at the bottom just because they freak me out. I'm not a fan of tweezers. Like you could grab so many freaky things with tweezers. Like I just don't like it. Like they look weird. So there you go. I'm so glad you wrote us in with these weird miscellaneous topics.
Yeah.
Whatever. So Zach, specifically Zach Durham, writes in and asks, what goes on your ideal sandwich? Like price isn't a problem. Who cares how much trouble it would be? I'm talking dream sandwich here, which kind of like went off in our Discord where people were interested. Oh man, I love sandwiches. I can't wait to hear the answer. Yeah, sandwich is my favorite lunch. Classic cold cut tomato, lettuce, cheese, and mayo, or mustard, or both. Depends on how the day is going. I love
that as an answer. How the day is going. Like, I've had a rough day. I'm gonna need both mayo and mustard.
Yeah, or like, I would love to know exactly in what scenario, because you said a rough day you have to have both. In my mind, it's like, because I don't like mustard, I guess. Right. Is Sam like, he thought he was a butthole that day or something, so he's punishing himself and putting mustard on his sandwich?
All right.
Because it's his favorite lunch. He's like, he's like, you know what? I was a bit of a piece of shit today. I'm going to put a squirt of mustard on there just to fuck up this whole sandwich. No. Like, I don't deserve a delicious cold cut sandwich.
It's true.
So, Big Josh Boy, what goes on your ideal sandwich?
Okay, so first I'm going to answer this question by saying what is my favorite sandwich, which is, if you know of a place called Las it is a sandwich.
Oh yeah, totally.
It is a sandwich. Well, I don't think it's only in Florida, but
I don't fucking know. I've never heard of that.
But it's fine. It's fine. It is a sub shop that is down in Florida, but it might be in other places. I really don't know because I don't need to know that. But they have something called the Monster, which is ham, turkey, and roast beef, and it is just like Google Las Patas the Monster, just massive sandwich of meat and bread and delicious toppings. And I always get that with mayo, lettuce, pickles, and then hot and sweet peppers. And it's all about those hot and sweet peppers, man. They're so damn good. And I get that, and it is amazing. It is so good. I honestly don't really care too much about like the roast beef or turkey part. Like as far as like outside of other sandwiches, like I'm not like, oh, roast beef, I fucking love it. But in that one specific sandwich from Las Patas, I'm just like, this is so damn good. But if we're talking about ideal, like no price involved, like just whatever you want, man, I would probably, I'm just making some dumb shit up here, but it would probably be something like a big hoagie that has like chicken strips in it and also mac and cheese and buffalo sauce and ranch and like something like that mixed up. It would be something that I would never eat because I would look at it and it'd be like, that is too fattening and I am going to have a bad day if I eat it. But damn, would it taste good.
It's literally like in Parks and Rec, how they have like those burgers from, I forget what it's called. It's like, I think it's called like Fatso or something like that. It's really fucked up. And they're just like the worst looking burgers you've ever seen. But on the other side, you're just like, but that looks kind of good, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I like it, you know? Yeah, I get what you mean. Okay, so I'm going to do a very similar thing. The best sandwich I've ever had was, I don't even know the restaurant, honestly. Morgan and I just like, we went there I think like 2 years ago with one of her friends from college. We just like went and met them there because they were in town. And I'm like a notoriously picky eater, so I just had to find something on this fucking crazy ass menu to eat. And I was like, bro, like this menu is too fucking crazy. Have you ever been to a restaurant and you've been like, what is this?
Dude.
Like what?
What do you mean by too crazy? Like there's just too many things?
No, I mean that like the things make no sense. That you're just like, I don't actually know what any of this fucking shit is.
Oh, okay.
Like
okay,
what
okay,
the fuck is a poke bowl? What is that?
Oh, well, all right. You're just dumb. That's fine.
You're just What is it, Josh?
It's basically like raw fish and rice, and it's kind of like an equivalent of sushi, but different. It's like a bunch of like veggies and rice and
It's like unwrapped sushi.
kind
Like
of
where
yeah,
sushi's the put together version of this poke bowl.
Yeah,
apparently.
I think that would probably be the whitest way to translate it. Yeah.
If you took the raw ingredients of sushi, just threw it on a plate. That's what a poke bowl is.
Threw it in a
Just to
bowl.
gentrify
That would be a
this
poke plate.
explanation. Okay, so yeah, I didn't know what any of this shit was, so I was just like, oh, that's a chicken sandwich. I'm gonna get that. And it was like, I believe it was sourdough bread. There was a little bit crispy. They toasted it a bit, and they put some butter on there too. And then it was a little bit of mayo, a little bit of salt, avocado, which I'm not like a big fan of avocado, but it was avocado, then bacon, and just like grilled chicken. Best sandwich I've ever fucking had. It was so delicious. I think about that sandwich all the time.
All right.
And it's like, I don't know how much that sandwich cost, but I'm pretty sure it was expensive. And I was like, man, that's whatever. But that was the best sandwich I've ever had. It was delicious.
All right. Very cool.
But here's the thing. When you say your ideal sandwich, what I think about is like, the weird thing is like, you go to like something that's like what would taste the best, but you never eat it. I go like hardcore nostalgia. I'm just like, this is a sandwich that I have yet to be able to eat in like 10 years. And I would fucking kill to eat this sandwich right now. It's just comfort food, which is super easy. My mom, like I believe it was Thanksgiving, would make a turkey and a ham because we were just a bunch of chonk ass kids.
I like it.
Yeah, she'd make a turkey and a ham, but she made like the kind of like almost pseudo like pulled pork ham where it was very stringy and it was like super salty. It's the best fucking shit I've ever had. And then we would have these like homemade wheat rolls. And I would just get one of those wheat rolls. I put a little bit of mayo on it and just put that ham in there. That's this is a dream sandwich because I can't have it anymore because my parents have gone to the point where they're like, they don't really, like, we don't often do like big Thanksgiving dinners. And when we do, they're not like they used to be. when we were kids. Now it's just kind of like, okay, we'll just fucking get pizza or something. Like it's just like everybody's
the
fucking
traditional
sick of it. Nobody wants to
Thanksgiving
do
meal.
it. It's pizza. It's Pizza Hut with stuffed crust.
That's good.
Gotta be American about it.
Gotta be American.
But
I have one of those
dude,
too.
that
I have
fucking sandwich,
I have an
bro.
old nostalgic sandwich that I'm like, I'll
okay.
never eat it again. And my wife, so it's pretty white trash. So I used to make, there were Thomas's bagels, which most people know, I would assume, but they're just big, like bready ass bagels that I would put literally just bologna and like that really fake ass American cheese slices cheese on. I loved them, dude. They were so ridiculously white trash, but man, as a kid, those are my jam.
You said you'd never have it again. Though, why is that? Just because you're like, it's just white trash. You don't want to have it again. Or?
It's no, well, of one, it's not a healthy snack for me. Like I wouldn't just be like, because dude, okay, doing something like that, you have to commit to, because I have to buy a packet of bologna. I have to buy a packet of those
I don't
cheese
just
slices.
naturally have this gross ass cheese and shit around.
Yeah, like I'd have to commit to the bit and be like, I guess I'm gonna have 12 of these sandwiches.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Dude, I've only eaten bologna once in my life, and it was when I was a kid. I was like, you see your dad make a bologna sandwich, you're just like, let's fucking go. Like, I want to taste bologna. And then you take a bite out of it and you're just like, this fucking sucks. Why do you eat it?
I love
like,
it. I love it. My wife is so she pisses me off. She she thinks it's so gross, but then she loves mortadella, which is like the fancy man's bologna, which I'll eat it and I'll be like, this is bologna, but just slightly different. I was like, it's still
this
good.
This is bologna, but $10 more. Like,
I'm like, I'll eat it because I like it and you like it, but it's pretty damn close. Like, I don't understand how you hate one, but you're like, this is it. Like,
yeah, it's the difference between liking the store brand versus liking name brand stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like, what's your fucking deal? Like, people who are like, I'm not going to eat Colossal Crunch because that's trash, but I'll eat Captain Crunch. And you're like, literally the same fucking cereal.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, I get what you mean. That's okay. All right.
Good sandwich.
So,
talk.
well, I mean, this is your dream sandwich, though. So you
Dude,
don't have
I'm
to worry
so
about price.
hungry.
You don't have to worry about calories. Would you eat that sandwich?
The bologna sandwich?
Yeah.
I mean, if it was in front of me, yeah. If my wife walked in right now and was like, here you go, here's dinner, and it was just that bologna sandwich, I'd be like, let's go.
Yeah, there are those like meals that you had when you were a kid that you're just like, I would eat that now, but I would never think about it. If it was offered to me, I would eat it, but I'd never think about making it.
Yeah, I wouldn't go out of my way to make it. But as a kid, it was something that I very much loved.
My wife and I were talking about white trash food because she made this ham and bean soup, which, like, just to let you know, those are the ingredients, is like basically just ham and beans. And it was very weird. She's like, this is like white trash. Like, this is poor food. And
yeah,
I was just like it. I've never had that before, but I was like, my family, like the white trash food that we would eat is my dad. And by the way, I don't think we're not meaning to be insulting in any way. If you enjoy these things, it's just being fucking dumb. But something my dad would make us, and I'm gonna tell you the name of it, like what he would call it, and I'm gonna see if you can guess. It has 3 ingredients. It's called Bean Burger. What do you think the 3 ingredients are?
Is it a burger, bun, and beans?
Nope, it is not. It is hamburger, beans, and a shitload of ketchup. And that is the ingredients to this like fucking dish. I fucking loved it. Like, it was so good. Like, it's so crazy. But I would never make it. Never in my life would I think like, hey, like text my dad up, be like, what? How did you make bean burger? And he'd be like, I fucking threw it in a pot. What do you mean?
How
like,
did you put those 3 ingredients together?
Yeah. He's like, you just fucking put it in there. Like, kind of a deal. But I just remember that shit being so good. But now it's like, it might be so tainted by nostalgia that if I ever ate it, I'd be like, this fucking sucked.
There's a lot of that. We talk about that with games, but like things in general in life, I always feel like we have these nostalgia, like these are our perfect ideal, sandwiches or whatever it might be. The minute I try it, I'd probably take a bite and be like, this bologna and cheese sandwich is garbage. What is wrong with me?
Why did I fucking like this? It's
Yeah.
fucking disgusting. Yeah, I guess tastes change, but
Yeah,
there you
for
go,
sure.
Zach. I just looking for a simpler time when I didn't have to worry about anything except for not doing my homework. Like, that's all I want in life. Is to just eat that fucking ham sandwich. Which granted, I don't like cold cut ham, by the way.
Really?
Just that kind of ham, yeah.
I love cold cuts. They're so good.
Outside of that, not a fan. And obsessed polyglot writes in. I don't know. That's a hard name to say for me. Writes in and says, "Oh, I have a possibly bland question that I am quite curious about, actually. Do you guys speak a language other than English? If so, which ones? And are there any languages that intrigue you that you'd like to learn at some point?" So, Big Josh Boy, do you speak any other languages other than English? And would you like to learn any?
I do. Hablo español, pero solo un poquito, porque I'm better at writing it and reading it than I am speaking it. It's for damn sure.
I was really gonna enjoy if you were just like everybody's like, I speak Spanish. My name is you're like, mi nombre es Josh or whatever.
No.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Me llamo, no.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I know enough Spanish that if I was dropped in the country, I'd be able to talk my way to safety, to get home. And I know enough because my wife she was born originally in Uruguay, and so was all of her family, and they came to the States when she was like
That's
8
cool.
or something like that. So to communicate with her mother, who only knows Spanish, I had to learn it for the most part. And I've fucking U.S. education system. I've taken 4 years of Spanish, and then I took Spanish in college, and then I learned the most of my Spanish speaking experience through Duolingo and talking to my mother-in-law. But whatever. But I know enough as far as learning a new language. I don't think there's anything I'm particularly interested in, so to speak. I struggle enough with Spanish as it is, and I still feel like every day I'm trying to learn it a little bit more. So I wouldn't want to take on something new. But I think the only thing that I would be is maybe Italian, because it's kind of Spanish adjacent in a lot of ways. But I don't think there's. I think English, it's kind of one of the things that we're very privileged about or fortunate about is English is a language that is really just spread throughout the world.
Yeah.
We're very fortunate where a lot of countries know English just because of the power that the states have, and we just get lucky for that. So in a lot of ways, there's not really specific parts of different areas of the world or countries that I would want to go to an extent where I would need to know the language. That's only why I would say places like Italy or the Hispanic countries are probably what I would be more inclined to go to. But otherwise, I could kind of get around in most countries knowing English, so it's not something that I'm dying to know, especially because of how old I am. Being at the age 30, I feel like I'm just and it's a bit of a crutch and kind of an excuse, but I definitely, when I have a kid, if I have a kid, would push them to learn more languages when they're younger, since it's a lot easier for their brain to develop that way and to, actually retain that information. But I'm at a point where I'm I got a lot going on in my life that I don't know that I want to commit to being gonna learn a whole new language. Because if I don't have a reason, if I don't have, a mother-in-law who speaks Spanish and a reason to practice that, what am I doing with it? It's just going to be in one ear out the other kind of a thing.
Yeah, for me, I don't speak any other languages, I'm just the failure that is the United States education system, where it's I took 2 years of French, couldn't tell you anything about what fucking, I know maybe 3 numbers in French, and that's about it. And I passed those classes. It's... It just doesn't, whatever. Languages that I would enjoy learning, I so badly would like to learn, Japanese. I would love to learn how to read and write, kanji. I think it's so fucking cool. Yeah, looks really hard. looks absurd.
Yeah.
Not the actual thing. Like, it looks absurdly hard.
Yeah.
To develop and understand.
I would
but
never
it would
want
be
to
so
do
cool.
that. It would be so difficult to try and grasp that.
Yeah. But I would love it just because I find, like, I think kanji is just such a cool way to write in general. I just think it looks amazing, and like the subtleties to it are just so interesting versus English, which is just very like bleh. Like, it's just kind of a shitty language, let's be honest. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and I love that like 90% of it is just slang. It's just like, yeah, we kind of fumble our way along. Like, it just doesn't make any sense, but whatever. That is the one language that I would very much enjoy. Like, if I could just randomly learn it, like if I could pay $1,000 and like just acquire the knowledge of Japanese, I totally would. But
that
other
is
than that,
such a privileged thing to say.
I know, right? Isn't that? Yeah, like, I don't want to put the work
Can
into
I
it.
just pay you to put information in my brain? What are we
Seriously,
doing here?
I don't even have the money to do that, but
I know. Yeah, you're just making up. Like, if I ever, come across $1,000, could I know Japanese? I can't wait until there is a day, because I think that's going to be crazy. If there's ever going to be a point in our existences, I don't think it would be in our lifespan, but like where knowledge is downloadable, like that's going to be a scary point in life.
Especially because of how fucked up that would be in our education system, whereas like there was always something that pissed me off. And like, so I took newspaper classes throughout high school, and one of our assignments was to get ads for the newspaper, which always seemed really weird because it's like, that's a weird thing to do. Okay. Like, you're having your children get funding for your school. Like, that's odd. But one of our assignments was based on if we could get ads for the newspaper, but I couldn't. Like, I couldn't figure it out. And the funny thing was, I was the only person in that class who couldn't do it because my family did not pay for advertisement in our paper. Yeah. Like, you didn't have to pay a lot, but like every other kid in the class, their parents had some sort of business, or their family like had some sort of business that they just paid for it. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah, and it was like, it pissed me off to the point where like I was basically failing the class because
you didn't have money. I was the
only one.
That is nuts,
because I was the
dude.
only one who didn't have money and couldn't pay for this advertising, and I had to like eventually go to the principal. Me and my mom did. And we were like, this is fucked up. Like, they're literally just paying for their grade, and the compromise was that I would just do more work in the class. Like, everyone had to.
Oh my god! If that's not
really fucked
the
up.
greatest like metaphor for how screwed up our system is of like poor, like poverty just getting dunked on. Like,
yeah,
what the fuck?
It was so annoying. And I mean, this is just the smallest thing, but it was just so annoying. All of these kids that just like paid for their advertisements, and then I was like, okay, Vaughn, you can't get this advertising money, even though if you literally just looked at the paper, it's like a bunch of family-owned businesses of all the kids who were in the newspaper class. Since I couldn't do that, everyone had to write a certain amount of articles, and I had to write like double the amount of everyone else because I couldn't get this money. I'm like, it's so fucked up.
That is fucked up, but it did prepare you for getting into the aspect of games journalism that you had for a while there.
It's fair. It's very fair. So that is all of our questions, and that is the end of this episode. Thanks everyone so much for listening. If you would like to chat with us outside the show, you could do so in a bunch of different ways. Make sure to follow us at IndiePod. That's just, the good old @ symbol. IndiePod, very easy to find over on that there Twitter. We have surpassed like 600 followers, which I think is pretty cool. Bunch of awesome indie game devs on there. Yeah, very excited about it. So make sure to follow us there for like news stories that we don't talk about on this show, notifications for deals that might go away soon, notifications on indie game news, and so much more. Once again, that is at IndiePod. You could check me out, Vaughn, at Hyde Legion. That's HYDELEGION. For all my bullshit, you can check out my Twitch streams, which is twitch.tv/Hyde Legion. Super easy. And you can follow Josh at _George90 over on Twitter and check out his Twitch streams at the twitch.tv/the_George. Anything else you would like to shout out? Are you going to start, you going to make that Twitch schedule?
Not anytime soon. I'll keep sporadically showing up though. I'm gonna try to push myself to play more Isaac because I haven't talked about it on the show this episode, but I'm still getting through it. I beat that final boss with 3 characters now so far.
Oh shit!
I'm getting through it, man. And it's a good time. But no, I'm gonna try to be a little bit better about that. I'm also gonna try to play some other indie games. Like I have In My Shadow right now that I want to play and showcase. So there's some stuff coming. I don't have a schedule yet because my life is too hectic to put a schedule around it, but I'll be popping up here and there.
All right. And lastly, let me go through the housekeeping one more time. Please check out our Fuzz Force developer interview, of course, about their game Fuzz Force Spook Squad. That one is going up this upcoming Wednesday, which should be the 14th of April. That is one day after for patrons, 2 days before for plebes. So please check that one out. And just all of our developer interviews are really great. So please do so. Josh works pretty hard on them. And they're awesome. Please check out the IndiePod store for our meager merchandise we currently have, soon to be more, so you can buy some cheap t-shirts and stickers, soon to be other things. Check out the IndiePod YouTube channel where you can watch these episodes and some other stuff that Josh has done. I'm eventually going to start making more videos when I have a little bit more time, probably sometime during the summer. Please leave us reviews on any sorts of platform you can do so on. Specifically, iTunes helps us out a lot, and if you write them in, we will actually give you... Well, we'll read them on the show, essentially, if you write a review. And lastly, thank you so much to all of our amazing patrons at the $3 tier or higher. Just thank you to all of our patrons in general. But at the $3 or higher, we're going to give you a thank you on the show. So that is Jonathan Gladio. I don't know. Probably. That's maybe how you say it. We'll see. Mixamatosis, a.k.a. Mix. Zach Durham, Chase Hopkins, Phil Prenshall, the one bandit from Australia. Chris Penra, always drinking tea. Josh Nichols, aka Active Josh, and lastly, Sam Fillion from Canada. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will talk to you all next week.